In this module, there is a detailed discussion about the optimum currency area, its advantages and disadvantages. After starting this module, you shall be able to learn about the optimum currency area, understand the advantages of optimum currency area, know about the disadvantages of optimum currency area. Let us discuss about optimum currency area. In economics, an optimum currency area OCA is called as an optimal currency region OCR. It is a geographical region in which it would be able to fully maximize efficiency economically to have a single currency for entire region, which will be creating the largest possible share of economic gain. Though in a traditional manner, every nation has managed its own independent national currency, which Mundell theorized in 1960s that this might not prove to be the arrangement which is economically efficient. Particularly nations sharing robust ties which are economic and may gain from a prevalent currency. This paves the way for convenient aliens of capital markets and leads to the facilitation of commerce. It explains the ideal features for the amalgamation of currencies or new currency creation. The theory justifies the argument if a particular region is ready to be a currency union, one of the ultimate round in economic aliens. Optimal currency area theory is a foundation of an accession towards monetary aliens. This theory was developed by Mundell and McKinnon in 1960s. This approach aids us to analyze and suggest cost possibly and gains of accruing to an accepted currency. It is the optimum features for the unification of currencies or the new currency creation. It is one of the last rounds in economic unification. Example is the euro formation, which is the most contemporary and largest scale case study of the engineering of an optimum currency area and provides a comparative before and after model by which to test the principles of the theory. Component of the logic for belief behind the euro creation is that the distinctive nations of Europe do not lead to the formation of optimal currency area, but that Europe in totality does form an optimal currency area. According to Robert Mundell, there are four main criteria for an optimal currency area or for a working of successful currency union, which are as follows. Increased labor mobility throughout the area. The mobility of labor has increased includes the ability to travel via simplified visas, worker right, inadequacy of cultural barriers that inhibit free movement like varied languages and institutional arrangements like the capacity to have pensions transferred throughout the region. Capital mobility, price and wage flexibility. If financial resources have high mobility between areas that have frequent trade with each other, these movements can facilitate overall trade and boost economies. This permits forces of market of supply and demand to have distribution of money where it is required and reserve an economic system which is balanced. Openness with mobility of capital and wage and price flexibility across the region. This is so that the forces of market of supply and demand automatically distribute money and goods to where it is required and preserve an economic system which is balanced. Practically, this does not work out as perfectly as there is no flexibility of true wage. The members of Eurozone trade in a heavy manner with each other. Intra-European trade outshadows international trade, and latest empirical analysis of the euro effect estimate that the single currency has increased trade by 5 to 15% in the Eurozone when compared to trade between non-Euro countries. A currency risk sharing system across countries. A risk sharing system in a currency union requires the distribution of money to regions experiencing economic difficulties, whether due to the adoption of the first two trades or because these areas are less developed. This criteria is in a controversy as it is politically problematic to sell in distinctive nations such as surplus nations are not willing to commit their revenue. The European sovereign debt crisis of 2009-2015 is recognized as the proof of the failed European Economic and Monetary Union (EMU). To contend this criteria as authentic, EMU policy implemented a no bailout clause which very early proved to be non-sustainable. A system of risk sharing like automatic fiscal transfer mechanism to have redistribution of money to regions which have been extremely affected by the initial two features. This usually takes the form of taxation redistribution to less developed areas of a country. This theoretically proved theory is politically problematic to implement as the regions which are better off will not commit their revenue. In theory, Europe do not have a no bailout clause in the Stability and Growth Pact, implying non-allowance of fiscal transfers. But during the Eurozone crisis of 2010, the no bailout clause was in reality abandoned. In the recent financial crisis of Greece, a tripartite committee created by the European Commission, International Monetary Fund and the European Central Bank (EC, IMF and ECB), the Troika, proposed Greece large bailout loan under Economic Adjustment Program. However, with activation concerned on implementation of harsh austerity package that would reduce Greek expenditure under debt restructure agreement. Similar business cycles. All participants in the area must have similar business cycle so that economic booms are shared and the OCA's central bank can offset and diffuse economic recessions by promoting growth and containing inflation. Therefore, optimum currency area refers to a group of nations whose national currencies are linked through permanently fixed exchange rate, the conditions that would make such an area optimum. The currencies of member nations then float jointly with respect to the currencies of non-member nations. OCA theory indeed implies that any two countries generally experiencing symmetric shocks and trading significant proportions of their GDP bilaterally should fix their exchange rates. Basically, a monetary union is an irrevocable fixed exchange rate system. Within a monetary union, this adjustment is no longer feasible because no single country can influence the currency. However, the benefits of a monetary union include the gains of increasing trade between the involved countries because trade is no longer hampered by rapid changes of exchange rate. The theory predicts that the benefits of a monetary union will outperform its cost only if the transfer of capital and labor is high between the countries joining the union. For example, if there is a crisis in one country, labor and capital could freely move to countries with better economic performance and therefore prevent unemployment. To fix or to floating exchange rate, theory of the optimum currency areas was fully developed during the debates of the benefits and the cost of the particular exchange rates regime under the World War II. That time, most of the countries fixed their currency to the US dollar. The US dollar was convertible at a fixed rate into gold. These issues are well known and that is why we concentrate more on the literature favoring flexible exchange rate regimes because it has a relatively explicit relationship to the OCA theory. Friedman favored flexible exchange rates because they serve as a better means to absorb exogenous shocks. His argumentation of the adjustment to the shock was as follows. As it is commonly observed, the country's prices and wages are relatively rigid and factors are immobile among the countries. As a result, under the negative demand or supply shock, the only instrument to avoid higher inflation or unemployment is the change in the flexible exchange rate. That means appreciation or depreciation of the currency. This brings the economy back to the initial external and internal equilibrium. In the case that internal prices and wages are not rigid or factors are fully mobile, there is little economic difference between these ways and the change in the exchange rate to adjust the economy. But still, it can be argued that the latter is less painful adjustment. Under the fixed exchange rate regime, there would always be the unpleasant impact on employment or inflation. It is also worth to notice that Friedman did not discourage using the fixed exchange rate regime at all. If there is little governmental interference to the economy or some specific relationship among the countries, the fixed exchange rate regime may be appropriate. Thus, the formation of optimum currency area eliminates the uncertainty that arises when exchange rates are not permanently fixed. Thus, OCA stimulates production, trade, investment among the nations and benefit greater economies of scale. Mundell went on to amend this theory of the optimal currency area to mandate that a closer system of international risk sharing in the area was not only necessary to the success of the OCA but crucial. In his 1973 Uncommon Arguments for Common Currencies, Mundell mandates that countries in surplus must mitigate market shocks by closer economic and institutional integration via reserve pooling or revenue sharing. Thus, a floating exchange rate that concentrates an economic shock in the country from which it originates is not a fitting criteria for an OCA. Instead, because the currency is shared and the overall economy of the region would benefit from absorbing economic shock as a whole, placing the burden of recession and devaluation on one country or region alone is unsustainable. Now we will understand the advantages of optimum currency area OCA. Optimum currency area is likely to experience greater price stability among member nations. Because random shocks in different regions or nations within the area tends to cancel each other out, and whatever disturbance may remain is relatively smaller when the area is increased. Greater price stability encourages the use of money as a store of value and as a medium of exchange, and discourage inefficient barter deals arising under more inflationary circumstances. OCA also saves the cost of official intervention in foreign exchange market involving the currencies of member nations, the cost of hedging and the cost of exchanging one currency for another to pay for import of goods and services, and when citizens travel between member nations, if the optimum currency area also adopts a common currency. The elimination of exchanging one currency for another is the most visible benefit of monetary union. It is only an empirical question how much the economic agents gain in the long run after the adjustment of all agents to the new environment. However, there are also indirect benefits from the elimination of the national currencies, such as a decrease in price discrimination. Next, we will discuss about the disadvantages of optimum currency area. Each member nations cannot pursue its own independent stabilization and growth policies according to its particular preference and circumstances. That is, common currency results in a loss of each country's ability to direct fiscal and monetary policy interventions to stabilize their economies. For example, if any depressed nation in OCA is having severe unemployment and wants to have expansionary monetary policy and fiscal policy, while prosperous region might require contractionary policies to cure inflationary pressure. The loss of power to affect a national money supply is legitimately feared, since in an integrated market, all member countries will jointly control their monetary policy. Typically, the loss of a country's ability to use the exchange rate and monetary policy for stabilization was considered to be the most important cost of joining a currency area. There are concerns about fiscal policy, as it is not clear what the implication of the membership is in the currency area for an independent fiscal policy. It does not need to be expected that monetary union mean the end of the independent fiscal policy for its member states. It is likely that even in the complete monetary union, countries keep their fiscal policies independent. However, some centralization of fiscal policies could serve as one of the mechanisms in adjusting to the asymmetric shock. On the other hand, the centralization of budgets often lead to an increase in spending. OCA reduced the greater flow arbitrage of capital and labor from regions and nations of excess supply, low earning to regions and nations of excess demand, high earning. OCA are not likely to eliminate interregional and international differences within the OCA region as proved by the persistent poverty in depressed regions of the same nation. While the Eurozone has seen many benefits from the introduction of the euro, it has also experienced problems such as the Greek debt crisis. Thus, the long-term outcome of monetary union under the theory of optimal currency areas remains a subject of debate. The argument about the loss of monetary and exchange rate policy was specially emphasized in the early 1970s when lots of authors believed in a negatively sloped Phillips curve. In that case, the common currency would imply that a country with a higher unemployment rate relative to other members of the currency area would no longer have the option of using a monetary policy. As a result, country will not achieve the desired mix of inflation and unemployment. Another cost of joining a currency area is the loss of seigniorage. Seigniorage is the revenue the government obtains by financing its budget deficit through printing money rather than selling debt. That's why at full employment printing money would lead to inflation. Seigniorage is frequently also called the inflation tax. It is largely a policy question how seigniorage will be distributed in the case of monetary union. In Western Union, only in some southern countries seigniorage was estimated to be more than 1% of GDP and the ratio is rapidly decreasing in time. Lastly, the loss of a country's ability to use the exchange rate and monetary policy for stabilization was considered to be the most important cost of joining a currency area. Thus, the long-term outcome of monetary union under the theory of optimal currency area remains a subject of debate. Eurozone countries matched well with Mundell's criteria for successful monetary union, providing the impetus for the introduction of a common currency. While the Eurozone has seen many benefits from the introduction of the euro, it has also experienced problems such as the Greek debt crisis. The subsequent ongoing European sovereign debt crisis is cited as evidence that the EMU did not fit the criteria for a successful OCA. Other than arguable cultural barriers such as different languages, the EMU did not adequately provide for the greater economic integration necessary for cross-border risk sharing. As Greece's sovereign debt crisis continued to worsen in 2015, it is speculated that the EMU must account for risk sharing policies for more extensive than the current provisionary bailout system. Let us recapitulate what we have learned in this module. In spite of above mentioned shortcomings, formation of an optimum currency area is beneficial in following conditions, namely, there should be greater mobility of resources among the nations, there should be greater structure similarities among the nations, there should be greater and close coordination of monetary, fiscal and other policies among the member nations. Thus, optimum currency area aims at maximizing the benefits from permanently fixed exchange rates and minimizing the cost. However, it is extremely difficult to actually measure the benefits accruing to each member nation forming an optimum currency area.